What's going on, everybody? Crazy Monkey Crypto here, and today we have a video on pool versus solo mining. And this is a new video of a different type of series that I want to try, where we go over just like the very basics about crypto mining. So if you are an absolute newbie, you have no idea what any of this stuff means. What is a Bitcoin? What is a blockchain? Never heard of block reward? What is pool versus solo mining? I'm going to try and create a whole new series just explaining these really simple concepts so that people can kind of have all this kind of beginning information all in one place so that they can get started quickly on their crypto mining journey without having, without suffering a bunch of pitfalls and accidents. So if you do like this kind of content, please let me know either in the comments or by hitting the like and subscribe button so I know that you guys appreciate this content and that it is actually beneficial to you. So with that being said, we are going to be taking a look at pool versus solo mining. What is it? What are the advantages of each? And what are some disadvantages of each? And then finally, we'll wrap it up with what I would personally recommend to you based on your situation. So let's get started. So what is pool mining? So it's using a group of miners' combined hash rate to increase the chance of hitting a block, and then you get paid out via your proportion of hash rate. So for example, if say the network hash rate, all the mining power combined is say 10 gigahash, and you have 5 gigahash in pool mining and 5 gigahash say in solo mining or whatever, your 5 gigahash in pool mining is put together, so you have about a 50% chance of each block. Now if you have 1 gigahash, then if you hit the block reward, then you would get about 1/5 of the block reward, but you're working together as a group to try to find more blocks than what you would find on your own. So here's an example just of one of my miners that is pool mining Ethereum Classic. And so you guys can see it's fairly consistent and steady as the pool that I am on pretty consistently finds blocks. And so given my contribution, some days it's a little bit higher, some days it's a little bit lower. It depends on things like network hash rate, but in general, it's fairly consistent. And so that is one of our pros. It is fairly steady income as blocks are hit more consistently. Think about it. If you're working on a team to solve something, you are more likely to get it completed. But if there's, say, a monetary reward, you would have to divide that based on the team members. Same type of deal here. So it's more ideal if you're looking for just a steady flat income. If you're like, I want to earn $10 a day, how can I do it? You're going to want to go with pool mining. Now, you're also able to mine cryptocurrencies with high difficulty. For example, something like Bitcoin. If you were to try and solo mine Bitcoin with, a small BitAxe miner or, an Avalon Nano 3, it could take you months, years, or potentially you might never hit a Bitcoin solo block. And the odds of you not hitting it are actually pretty high. I forget exactly the odds, but pool mining allows you to still be able to mine those cryptocurrencies and still get your small piece of the pie without kind of gambling at all to get the entire block reward. Now, some cons, and those are two very big pros. The steady income aspect, absolutely. That's basically what every single mining farm is looking for, right? Your steady income, you want to know how much you're going to be making per day, and the ability to mine the cryptos with very high difficulty to allow you to still, like I said, mine stuff like Bitcoin. So the cons are fees are typically slightly higher due to them handling the actual reward structure. So I have another video which I will link in the top corner, where I go over the different types of pools that you can have and the different reward structures and which one you might want to pick in each scenario. But they are typically, say, between 1% to 2%, based, depending on the pool. Some run promos and that kind of stuff. Now, in general, I say there's less upside. And yes, it's a con, but it basically is the opposite of the steady income, right? So it would be something similar to like working your 9 to 5, right? So if you say work a 9 to 5 and you make $60,000 a year, that's great. It's all steady income. You know you're consistently going to get that, so it's a good baseline level that you can work off of. But you're not going to say, versus like we'll talk about with solo mining, can't do stuff like contracting, where the upside is huge, it's sky high, but the consistency is just not there. So you have less control as you're reliant on pool operators. Now this is more just in direct comparison to solo mining, as we will talk about in just a second. But if, say, your pool goes down for whatever reason, or you're mining a smaller cryptocurrency and the pool, you just don't have very good ping to it, and stuff like that, you don't have as much control with pool mining. Okay, so what is solo mining? Solo mining is using a single worker to try and solve the blocks on your own. So, for example, here is a screenshot of my Grin G1 mini miners. Now, I have 2 of them, and so that's why the hash rate is right about 2.6. It really depends. I got a pretty good silicon lottery on these, but you guys can see that I have 2 miners online, but they're not working together. They're working independently to solve the block reward. So it's not like pool mining where I group those together and then say I have like a combined 2.5 hash rate or GPS towards the pool mining. No, I'm individually using about 1.25 GPS to try and solve the block reward. So some pros. If you are able to hit a block, you keep the entire block reward and transaction fees. So you guys can see that the block reward for Grin is 60 and the pool fees are 0.9%, so 0.9%, so they take 0.9 Grin. And so, or at least that might be 1%. Either way, but you're able, so if you hit a block, you keep the entire block. And so that part's really nice. So if you hit a block, the block rewards right now are about $1.67. Obviously, it will fluctuate based on the price of the coin. Grin is pretty severely depressed right now, but if Grin 10x's, then every block I hit was basically $16, which is pretty cool. And so you can see some other stats here, like personal luck. It basically, when it hits 100, that's about the equivalent of pool mining. So it's about when you should hit a block. And you guys can see I've hit about 30 blocks in the last 30 days. All that kind of good stuff. So typically there is slightly lower pool fees. You typically see from like 0.9 to 1%. Really don't see 2% solo mining pools. Again, not really a huge deal unless you have a huge mining farm, where that 1% could end up being a really big deal. So you also have more control over your setup in direct comparison to pool mining. So you can set up your own node. I don't have much experience doing this, so I would not be the best person to ask, but I know you can set up your own node for a whole variety of coins. I know people who have set up their own, say, Kaspa solo mining node, and then they mine directly to that node for low ping. And ping is important because if you're trying to be the first one to solve the block, then you need to be able to submit it very quickly. So anytime I solo mine, I try and make sure my ping is less than 40 milliseconds. That'd be 40 milliseconds. Anything over that, you're probably gonna start losing out on some blocks against people who have better ping, and so that's just something that you'll have to try and balance. Now, some cons. It's unknown really when you will hit a block. Like we talked about before, you do have some indicators like personal luck telling you, when you should, in theory, hit a block. But there are sometimes your personal luck is 0%. I've had 0% blocks. I've had 2% blocks, 4% blocks, 7% blocks, where you are hitting blocks at like an unprecedented rate. And then you will have some blocks that are like 300%, 400%, 500%. And where that's taking you then 3, 4, 5 times longer than on average to find a block. So it's also inconsistent income. So again, opposite of what we talked about with pool mining, you have your very, in general, consistent income. But for solo mining, it's very inconsistent. You guys can see on this chart. So it cuts out the days where I don't get any rewards. But obviously you can see some days it's the 59.1, some days it's the 108.2, or I think that's what that is. No, 118.2. And you guys can see it kind of bounces back and forth. I've even had a day where I make over 175 grin a day. So you guys can see I would have hit 3 blocks then in a 24-hour period. But it's very inconsistent. So because these miners are very cheap and they're very cheap to run, I don't particularly care if it's consistent income, but just something to note. So what is right for you? And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you some information so that you guys can make the correct decision. This is not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. Do your own research if you're going to try and get involved into crypto mining. So pool mining is going to be the vast, vast majority of people. So the first thing is it's going to be very good for beginners. You don't need, super technical knowledge on setting up your own node and, what that even means, downloading the blockchain, all that kind of stuff. It just simplifies everything. So pool mining, you just put in the stratum or the address, and then you put in your wallet, and boom, you are up and mining. It's very, very simple. The pool typically handles, stuff behind the scenes. Now, it's also good if you want consistent rewards daily. So if you have something, say, hosted, or maybe you're running this as part of a business, it may be good to get consistent rewards so you can show that you're actually profitable as a business. It's also easier to then manage your expenses if you know in general how much you're going to make plus or minus, 5-10%, based on, block reward reductions, that kind of stuff. Now, it's also good for people with lower risk tolerance. It's very easy to just set it up and set it and forget it, where it's just going to consistently pool mine. Like, for example, my Ethereum Classic ASIC, my E9 Pro, I set that thing months ago, and it's just running, and I get payouts every once in a while. I forget, I think it's every week, and, I just get my income. And it's pretty foolproof. It's pretty easy, and it's definitely a low risk tolerance. Now, solo mining is definitely the minority, and I kind of have an image of, you guys see the images that help the newbies, and then kind of a gladiator, right? So it's more of like a moonshot for some of these coins, like the lottery, specifically stuff like Bitcoin, where just the odds of hitting it are just so crazy. But if you can plug in a tiny little miner that uses, say, 20 watts, and it's mining at 4 terahash or whatever, there is a chance. It does have a chance of hitting a Bitcoin block. And if you hit a Bitcoin block, like someone did this past year with one of those miners, you're looking so good. I mean, it's $300,000 some dollars right now, which is crazy. Now, obviously, again, your odds of hitting it super low. But some of these other coins, it could be a good opportunity if you have a decent chance of hitting a block, and you're willing to, say, expense the electric based off your full-time income. Could be a decent idea if the numbers make sense. Now, like we talked about before, it's could be right for you if you're also not concerned with daily profits and needing to sell for electricity. For example, with my G1 minis, like we talked about, I think they only use 100 watts. So letting them run and taking the chance for the upside of solo mining which so far has worked out pretty well for me for those machines. That's to do that, because I personally don't really care how much they bring in on a daily basis, just as like a daily income, because it's pretty low. I'd rather take that potential upside gain and solo mine. But again, that's just me in my scenario. And it is also for people with high risk tolerance. So if you like the thrill, you like the adventure, you like, it's kind of like a game. I come home after my 9 to 5 and I'm like, hey, did I hit a block? Oh, maybe I hit 2 blocks, maybe I hit 3 blocks. And then there's some days I come home, maybe multiple days in a row and I hit 0 blocks. I said it's kind of like playing the lottery in a way. And so if you kind of have that high risk tolerance, then it could be a potential avenue. So that is everything for today, guys. That is pool versus solo mining. If you do have any questions or I missed something that you want to correct me on, feel free to leave that in the comments below. Again, if you liked the video, please let me know so I know whether to keep making these types of videos or not. Really in just kind of this instructional PowerPoint version to help people out who are just beginning. So please consider hitting that subscribe button, leave a like, comment down below, and keep smashing blocks.